There are things that exist even further out there. Things the telescopes could not ever reach in our lifetime or our descendants' lifetimes. Planets full of life that repeat their existence in connecting universes where said life takes on different forms. Flying alien ships that take more energy to operate than a whole galaxy's worth of infrastructure. A museum that only beings who've escaped extremely far outside of their solar system can visit. One that works as an akashic record of failed universes. The museum? That one is described in stories to be located wherever you now are and wherever you could ever be. It's strangely so accommodating as well. With the way the size of it depends on the size of whatever being visits it. So, if one could reach the museum's location, a human as a visitor would be able to view everything at their scale. A human would not be in the same museum as a Dimension 8 being that is capable of viewing entire multiple galaxies at its scale. Inside, there is machinery whose energy source is one with the walls and creates glowing, connected crack patterns all over the place. Sound in this museum sounds like thunder and lightning happening in many close locations at once, coupled with this eerie sound of low humming going back and forth between sounding muffled and sounding like it's playing in HD through headphones in your ears. If you could focus enough in this museum to hear through those noises, you could almost hear faint speech. Tiny pieces of the ghosts of conversations that were once had and no longer matter. Every step taken makes everything pull inward towards you, as if you became the center of the museum's gravity before quickly placing all objects back to their original position. There's also the fact whichever direction you look and move in, the rooms change. So even shifting your eyes influences the layout of the rooms. There is never multiple visitors in the same museum because of occurrences like this. If one person being in the museum can cause all that was described, then multiple presences would make the space the museum exists in too chaotic to live in, which would be dangerous for the realities that are still alive outside of the museum's contained space. If the information contained in the museum were to bleed into reality, the laws of physics of the failed realities mixing with the physics of the available alive, ones would be strange, yet would happen as if they made sense. A few examples of what could happen include realities where everything is submerged in water. Everything. Not just on planets, but in the outer space around it. An entire observable universe existing in water. Or there could be a manifestation of a universe where all gravitational pull exists in one location, like it temporarily does in the museum when a person takes a step. Everything collapses into an ultra-massive black hole bigger than anything that could ever be studied. Even with as obnoxiously large of a number this sounds like, this event would trigger the beginning of a Googleplex long black hole era, where everything except the museum would end, and nothing would begin again. Just giant swirling pools of black hole eating and regurgitating information with no end. Luckily, there's barely any visitors in the museum. Maybe one every 1 billion years. It's not like it's some popular advertised tourist location. It's barely a perceivable place. The museum is monitored and traveled through easily by a sentient tiny flicker of light that contains our universe among a few other alive ones. It finds this place creepy, yet is always drawn to the idea of zooming through its halls. This little light loves the vibrations that goes through it from the sounds of the thunderstorms. It spends most of its time here dodging the random lightning strikes for fun, or viewing the timeline of failed universes from beginning to end. While distracted by what interests it for however long, a visitor begins to move through the museum and begins changing the layout of the museum, which caused the little light to lose sight of what it was viewing. However, this doesn't bother it that much. Just a little zooming around. As it does then, it can get lost in the fun of something else in the museum. During one moment of traveling through the museum, it comes across something familiar. When it gets closer to the piece of failed universe, it notices images of some planets from what looks like Earth's solar system. They seem to be dimmer in color and covered in mostly snow and ice. The cosmos surrounding them seems to be flooded with ice chunks, and there's even visible gusts of winds. It's like viewing a snowstorm on a cosmic scale. The sight made the little light flicker in and out of existence. When it could refocus, it took the time to view the timeline of this reality from beginning to end. From what it saw, a shift in the direction of trillions of ice particles from the coldest parts of space blew in over time, and very slowly, and in the end dramatically modified the climate rules of the cosmos there. This didn't seem to be standard ice. It was a type that even a tiny amount could freeze anything it touches to its core in seconds. What the light did not understand is when this was happening. Was it the past, present, or future? Was this even an image of the main Earth solar system that it knows of? Only one thing was for sure. It's how the light itself felt a little colder, as if one of the universes inside it froze over. It was time for the light to move on again.